Welcome to another video of Vinyl Addict. This is Chili, and I have another flashback that I'm going through right now, and it's 1995. Now, it's a kind of an odd year. It was right after the whole grunge thing has died out, and there were some things that are starting to creep in. Britpop, of course. There was also some electronica. There's some good debuts, and some of the older veteran bands is kind of seeing where they're at, and I try to compile, just different things from that year. It's not specifically what's very popular, but just to give you just a recap of like, oh, okay, that's what was going on, and so on and so forth. So before I get into this, don't forget to hit the like, comment, and share this video. And so let's get into this. Now, the first one is a band that I don't really care for, but this was given to me as a Christmas gift from someone who's really into this band. Now, it is Red Hot Chili Peppers' One Hot Minute, and I told my friend, if you're gonna get me one of their albums, get me this one, because I like Dave Navarro. I was into Jane's Addiction. It's a popular band for me. I mean, it's one of my favorite bands from the '90s, and he was in here for One Hot Minute. So that's the only thing. People didn't really like this album, but Dave is on there. He's cool. He's a rock star. I think the Flea and the rhythm section is great, Flea and Chad. I just don't really care about the singer. I do think that John Frusciante is a great guitarist. He's just a great guitarist in a bad band. But here we are, number 20, One Hot Minute. Now, starting with the debuts, 1995 had the Foo Fighters, and so like I was saying, it was right after the whole grunge thing, and Dave pretty much plays everything on here, and I feel it's a great debut. Songs like This Is a Call, and I'll Stick Around, which is good, and of course Big Me were the hits on here. And so good debut, and it's just all him, and some of it is kind of rough around the edges, but that's cool. It's the Dave Grohl Experience, the first one, Foo Fighters. And this brings us to a veteran. David Bowie was going and doing some kind of obscure stuff in the 90s, and this was like a concept album called Outside, and it's a very strange kind of album. He had some, like, in the later years, like Heathen. I loved Heathen, and The Next Day, and this is no exception. Outside is great. If you never heard this album, I suggest you check it out. And so the start of the soundtracks. Now, this is Dead Presidents, which is done by the Hughes brothers in 1995, of course. And this is not the real cover. This is a promo of the album, and they had two soundtracks for this, part 1 and part 2. And they're just comprised of 70s soul songs from the early 70s. And the thing is, because the movie's set in the 70s, the early 70s, like right after the Vietnam War and whatnot, and one of the guys in the film plays a veteran, and it also has Chris Tucker in here. He's a veteran. And so this is the white promo for DJs, and so it has stuff from James Brown in here, Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions, Isaac Hayes. So that's what you're going with, and there was some other good soundtracks from the 90s that had early 70s songs, because there was a lot of films coming out that was bringing back the 70s. So one of the other ones was Crooklyn, the Spike Lee movie, and I have that one that has a great compilation to 70s songs, but the Dead Presidents is a good one from '95. So Next we got Lenny Kravitz. This is Circus. This was the album that was the follow-up to Are You Gonna Go My Way, which was big breakthrough album with that song in itself. And this one was kind of low-key. Has Rock and Roll Is Dead is on here. Can't Get You Out of My Mind, which was a song that was played on here, but it was mainly more going for a more hard rock, Led Zeppelin 70s vibe. And he was also saying that Robert Plant would come in the soundtrack and check on how he's doing, and he's just kind of giving him those Zeppelin vibes, and big kick drum sound and the guitar riffs, very Jimmy Page is what he was going for. So he kind of left the 60s thing and he was going towards more of the 70s Zeppelin thing, and so that was Circus. Next we got John Spencer's Blues Explosion. This is the follow-up to Extra Width. This is a really great album. It's very lo-fi, very just three-piece, and you can't really describe his music. Some people just say if James Brown was white and played guitar, this is it. This is John Spencer's Blues Explosion. And check it out. The one song on here, Bell Bottoms, is on the soundtrack to Baby Driver. If you've ever seen that film, and they put that song on the first car chase in the beginning of the film. It just worked really well. So check out that. And you'll hear this song from beginning to end, Bell Bottoms, from this album Orange. Okay, here's another debut from the band Garbage, and this album is from Butch Vig, who produced Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins, I believe. But this is like his band with I forgot what's her name here. This girl right here. This was like it's escaping me right now. But the song Queer and I'm Only Happy When It Rains. I know it's gonna come to me when this is all over. But there she is. Garbage. Okay, and so let's go some veteran bands. We got probably no one has heard this album. It's Black Sabbath's last album before getting back with Ozzy. So this is the last of the Tony Martin era. And this was produced by Ernie C. from Body Count. And Ice-T is on this album. He does a little spoken word thing really quick. But, it's a heavy album. It's forgettable, of course. But, this was the album before the reunion with Ozzy, Billboard, Geezer Butler, and of course Tony Iommi himself. So it's where he was at that time. And these guys, Queen, this album sold a lot in the UK. Sold like 20,000. It's a posthumous album. And what they did is taking a lot of things that Freddie left, whether it was from stuff from his solo albums or stuff that they were working on, and they kind of had to make music around these melodies and whatnot, and to make it sound like it's a band, and they do. It's really cool. Later on, you hear people do this as well, like the Beatles with the anthology, which came out later too, and they do things like Real Love and of course Free as a Bird, and then of course Natalie Cole would do this, with her dad, Nat King Cole, do the Unforgettable album, and so they're kind of like taking people's melodies and stuff and just kind of making an album with them. And this is a really good one though. I was really surprised. Queen's last album, Made in Heaven. Another soundtrack, of course, Friday, with starring Ice Cube and Chris Tucker again, who's also in Dead Presidents, and this one has Keep Their Heads Ringing by Dr. Dre, and of course Friday, the song by Ice Cube, and he starred in this movie and directed it. Very funny, very classic, Friday. Now here come the English people again with Elastica. This was their debut. They only did 2 albums. Um, they were plagued with lawsuits and everything because Justine, the lead singer, you know, she openly admitted that she's taken songs from Wire and they do. I mean, they have some connection. It's the same riff and the same drum beat in the beginning of a Wire song. Um, so you know, this album is comprised of Justin and Justine and Justin, who were from London, Sweden, so they started this band, Elastica. They had a lot of drug problems, of course, but which is sad. But this is a great album. The car song is great. They're really like 2 to 3 minute, really new wave punk songs. Great band. Um, then came The Unpronounceable Symbol. This is the album by The Artist. He was just called The Artist, formerly known. People called him The Artist, formerly known as Prince, but if you bought a ticket to go see one of his shows, like I did, it would just say The Artist. So that was what he was addressed as, and this was the album, The Gold Experience, which has The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, which was a #1 song internationally, and so it comes out of this album. And as far as rap and hip hop goes, you know, of course, people would want, or not want, but expect Tupac or, you know, this and that. But you know what? I'm not going to take Tupac and put him here. I'm going to put Mobb Deep. This is a band that's really good, that doesn't really get a lot of say-so, or, you know, or not really heard about. It's one of those kind of, oh yeah, I heard that band, the Shook Ones, and this and that, but, you know, it's always good to just, you know, name check bands and artists that, you know, don't really get a lot of promotion, or, you know, or an album like this, Infamous, is just a great album. So if you need to go get a 1995 hip-hop album, this is the one, you know, Mobb Deep. Now we're going back to the UK with the Charlatans UK. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of English bands coming near the end of this whole thing, and this is their 4th album, the Charlatans, and then the Charlatans UK. Great band, you know, the whole Manchester thing. There was like, I believe, you know, there's Happy Mondays. There's all these bands that were popping up, Blur, and, you know, so on and so forth, Pulp, and so this was one of them, the Charlatans. And back to like heavy rock, Veterans, AC/DC put out an album this year in '95 with the original, one of the old time drummers, Phil Rudd. He returned. And so you had the Back in Black lineup right here, and Rick Rubin produced this. Hard as a Rock, Cover You in Oil. I like this album. Not a lot of people kind of dismissed it, but I think it was AC/DC. You know what I mean? You can't go wrong with an AC/DC album. So this was a ball breaker. And around that time as well, we had Astro Creep 2000 with Rob Zombie's White Zombie, and I liked White Zombie. His stuff solo is really good, but this was a great band. I think he kept John, the drummer, for a while, but, you know, Jay was great on guitar. He had a great thing going on with this group, and this was no exception. This had More Human Than Human on here, and Supercharger Heaven was a great song, and Electric Head. This is a great album. Check it out. And we're back to England again. And so, of course, this was a big album for that year. What's the Story, Morning Glory. I mean, from beginning to end, from Hello to Champagne Supernova and everything in between. I mean, you got Wonderwall, of course. Roll With It. You know, they're just catchy songs. Like, fuck. He's just like, Noel Gallagher just knows how to fucking write a song. You know, he's just like, even his B-sides are fucking great. You know what I mean? They're like, that should be on an album. Why wasn't that on an album? Because he just has so much good shit. But he has, like, on here also, Don't Look Back in Anger. And, You know, that has a little piano intro. It's very reminiscent to Imagine, but it's way better than Imagine. I'll take Don't Look Back in Anger over Imagine any day. Some might say very good, great song. You know, so here they are. This is their second album. What's the Story? Morning Glory. It's not my favorite one of theirs. I like the one that came after this one, Be Here Now. Actually, a little bit more in some of their later stuff, but this was 95. And of course, we have the Bends. This is the follow-up. Pablo Honey, but by Radiohead. So this is the Bends, the second one. This is a great album. I mean, My Iron Lung, the guitar playing on that is just fucking crazy. Fake Plastic Trees, of course, is great. This one, I like this one more than OK Computer. You know, I think this album was like very kind of underrated, but I put it up near the end. This is number 3 here. Now this one, I guess, it sold a lot of copies and won a lot of Grammys and stuff like that. So I mean, there's a lot of songs in there. All I Really Want. You Ought to Know, of course. And he has some great musicians on here. You know, Dave Navarro's on here with Flea on that song. What was the other one? Hand in My Pocket was on here. You know, and You Learn. The Ironic song is on here. So this is Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. Now, that sold pretty much a lot, but I would think that the album for me in 1995 is this big one right here, The Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. This is a great box set, of course, but this is the album, and you know, from beginning to end. You know, I rate this as one of those great albums that you put like where bands were at their creative peak, and I think this is one of his creative peaks. Like people like him and Prince, they just keep on coming back and coming up with he's coming up with a rock opera that's going to be released this year, and so. He does have he's very prolific, and Billy Corgan's an incredible artist, and this one, I put it up there with, like, you know, The Wall, Pink Floyd, Physical Graffiti, you know, Led Zeppelin, Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, you know, Sign of the Times by Prince. This is one of those albums, and Tonight's on here. Bullet with Butterfly Wings, Zero, you know, but there's so many great songs on here from beginning to end. So this would be my number 1 of that year, is Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness by the Smashing Pumpkins. So there is 1995 in a nutshell. What were your thoughts? Can you know, comment below? Did I miss something? Was there something that maybe if there's some bands on here that I wouldn't put on there because I just don't like. I mean, I put, you know, Red Hot Chili Peppers on here because Dave Navarro's on there, and you know, so they get a pass, you know. But usually I don't like to put things that I don't like on my list of bands on there. But that was the exception. So. Like, comment, share, and, you know, subscribe to this channel if you still haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next video, or perhaps the next flashback, whichever comes first. Bye.